You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years.
Welcome back to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. This is Trevor Wade. I'm the Coonhound Program Manager at UKC, and I'm joined today by Alan Gingrich, Director of Hunting Ops. What's going on today, Alan?
Hey, it's a good day, Trevor. It's been a good day. It's been a good week, actually. Came back from the Winter Classic. You know how it is. We got back to the office on Tuesday and a lot to unwrap and all this and that, but things are coming along. We're busy, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's always those major events are always fun, but when you get back, it's there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. Checking them off the to-do list, one thing at a time here. So
it sure felt.
And one of the things is this podcast.
Yeah, it sure felt good Monday though to take the day off, didn't it?
About needed it on Sunday. I think I was a zombie. I don't know how. When the Super Bowl went into overtime, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Hey, we watched the first half of it, and I think most of the third quarter, and went back to the hotel room for the last quarter, and I didn't watch very much of it at all. I was out.
Yeah, that's some of the hardships I guess we have to deal with when it's on the weekend of a major event.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to spend 2 whole weeks in Mississippi. Does it feel good to finally be home again?
Well, it is. I really enjoyed it, though. That's always the last couple of years it's been like that. Normally we would come home from the Beagle trial on we'd leave Sunday and be home on a Monday, make it a 2-day trip again, basically. But then in this case, we'd turn around on Tuesday and go right back down for the Winter Classic. So, logistically and financially, it just makes sense to just stay there. And so it was a good 2 weeks, week and a half, I guess.
Yeah.
10 days.
You got to spend a lot of time down there. Got to do some hunting and everything else.
Yeah, coon hunted a little bit. Yeah, watched some rabbit dogs go. They have that fox trial in Grenada just down the road from Batesville. Last year we went and watched that on a Monday, and they turned, I want to say, around 470 dogs loose last year. This year, Terry Walker, with the American Coon, he's involved with that. This year I saw where he posted they had like 717 foxhounds they turned loose, and that is a sight to see, Trevor. Man, you've probably seen pictures of it, but you should be out there one day and just see that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it looks like and what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Hey, well, today we're kind of recapping the Winter Classic while it's still here fresh on our minds. We're going to talk about the show, the hunts, and everything in between. And I guess we'll kind of get started with just the kind of an overview of the event. And this was kind of, obviously I missed last year, but this year was the first year I've been able to be there with the new layout. And I really like it better with the ring centered, the bench show ring centered, and all the vendors around it. I think it gives it looks awesome, especially from the concourse.
Yeah, you walk into the building, and that's kind of the first thing you see, and you see the face of it better this way, I think, as opposed to when it was turned the other way. When we say turned, it was the stage was turned to the side basically and facing the south end, and but now you see the face of it walking in. I love it. We moved the stage back further, allowing more space in front of it for a lot of the bench show folks, so we needed a little more space for them to crate their dogs. And as you saw this year, they all have crates now. And there was actually a lot of dogs on the floor that you don't really see, and their crates are covered, most of them. And I think that's just their dogs. I'm sure they're used to that. They feel they're used to their own crates, and they feel more at home. They're quiet and they're almost unseen there, and it was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. I guess the first big curveball that we kind of encountered was the door that most of the bench show enthusiasts come into. That one overhead door they come in was surrounded by the dirt from the arena, something we didn't know about, or you kind of broke the news to us, I think, because you were the first one there, and just we didn't know about it. Obviously, got a lot of feedback on that. That's something that we probably don't anticipate happening moving forward.
We sure hope not. You're right. We didn't know about that until we walked into the arena part and walked out there. I'm like, my goodness, what is this? But yeah, that kind of closed that end off where we normally would bring all of our show folks in. And that it complicated it to a degree. We need to have that open for sure. And I did talk. The mayor showed up on Saturday, and he loved the big crowd there, and they want us in Batesville. And he was very quick to ask me, what can they improve on this and that? And that's definitely one of the things that we said we have to have, so hopefully this is a one-time deal where we couldn't use that end. And he's talking like they're actually going to extend and build that part out further, and so I don't know if they're going to keep dirt in there or not, but at least that end would be open for use again. And it sure made a difference, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I appreciate all the exhibitors kind of powering through that with us and making the best of it. Appreciate that.
For sure.
Another thing to talk about real quick, the vendors seem to have a pretty decent crowd of vendors there. A lot of the usual suspects we see at major events and some new names. We're seeing some new, and it's always the case. There's always a few outgoing and a few incoming, as is just how life works. And we had a bunch of good vendors there. And I just like how they're all around the arena instead of just being kind of hooked down to just one half of the arena. Over there kind of crammed together, you kind of got room to stretch your legs and get walked around and everything.
Yeah, the one thing we're talking about the layout a little bit and now the vendors, but there's two things kind of that I'd like to mention here that I think you and I talked about it, is on each side of the stage we have what we refer to as like the island vendors. Where they're kind of in the middle. We had them spread out to the outside too far. So we obviously took some different measurements, and next year we're wanting to move them in towards the stage about 15 feet. So that will also open the aisleways a little better on the outside, between the wall vendors and those island vendors. And I think that's going to really make it a lot nicer because it got too tight. One of the reasons some of the wall vendors, we had some of the dirt they couldn't get out of there because I guess they had some ice storms and some things like that for like a week. And they had a rodeo 2 weeks ago, so they couldn't get the dirt out as soon as they normally would. So they were hustling to even to get all that out. And, so that was part of the problem, so some of that was still had some dirt around the walls a little bit. And so some of those, what I'm getting at is some of those vendors, we gave them a little more space coming out away from the wall because of that. So, but hey, they all worked around that, and it made everything a little more tighter, too tight almost, full is good, but too tight is also too tight. But I think we have a good plan, and we'll able to fix some of that for next year.
And then most of the breed associations and also content creators had space around the perimeter and around the stage. And I'm excited about that. As we go on the past couple of years, we've seen more and more podcasters and people with YouTube channels and just people creating content on hound sports. And it's a great thing. And at our major events, we try to give those people, we want them to be there because any content they put out regarding our events is a good thing for us. And we appreciate the content they put out. We had 5 of them in tow this weekend.
You're right. I agree. I love that as well. There might have been, back in the day, or you used to kind of think, well, we have our own podcast as well, but it's not like that. It's not a competition. It's the opposite of that. It's like any content that we can get in regards to our event or any event for that matter, the sport, that's a good thing for everybody. And that's a good thing for us. Why would we not want to have all of them there? And I love it.
Yeah, we're all working together in this thing. And just a real quick shout out to the content creators for being there. Gone to the Dogs podcast, Steve Fielder was there. Coon Hunting Media podcast, one of the newer guys, Kyle Oakes, who I think we'll get to a little bit later, was there. Just a young kid. Hunter's Wheelhouse, Jason Hunter, had a spectacular display out there. He had a lot of traffic. He put in 110% for his display over there. Simper Dogging with Bryce. He was down there on the far end next to Jay Lash, one of his sponsors. And then Legends of the Black and Tan Coonhound, what Ray Conrad and Chad Smith have been doing. They were over by the Black and Tan table. I think they probably got a later start than they thought. I'm not sure if they got any content there, or if they even set up, but I knew that we had a spot for them there. So.
Yeah, no, that was great to have all of them there, and hopefully, I saw they had folks sitting there doing some recording, so I'm excited to listen to some of the content that they recorded there.
Yep. I think we had a pretty good crowd walking around this year too. So I think that'll help both the content and the vendors, and I hope everybody. A good crowd is good for everybody, so it was good to see a good crowd there walking around and participating. So let's kind of get started off with the week. The first thing that happens is usually the warm up slam on Wednesday. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the newest thing that we got going on. And if you've been around at all the past few months, you've heard us talk about the UKC Pro Slams coming on. This was our second Coonhound Pro Slam that we did in conjunction with Winter Classic warm up slams, and it started on Wednesday night. And that was a fun deal. You had the idea to do a Calcutta, and we ended up doing that on Wednesday night. We had perfect weather outside to do that, and we did it while they were still drawing casts for the main warm up slam. So there was 100 odd people out there, and just out in front of the building, and it was just a fun environment for everybody, I think.
Yeah, and a great place to do it too. You know, everybody could participate. Anybody could bid on it, not just the owners or the handlers of the dogs in the Pro Slam. Anybody that was there could. And I tried to make it fun, you know, and it was fun. We had kind of a lame auctioneer doing it, but it was fun.
No, you did a great job. People kept coming up to me and saying, "I didn't know Allen could do that." I was like, "Oh yeah."
Well, hey, He's telling you, Trevor, you try it. It's okay. I wasn't really that nervous. I've been doing it for a little bit. I'm not an auctioneer or anything, but I like doing that sort of thing, and I've practiced a little bit, I guess. But still, when you do it in front of people like that, and especially people what are you gonna do? You just let it go. And it is what it is, But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
hopefully I'll get better. I need to get better at it, but hey, hopefully people understand. I'm not a professional or anything, but yeah.
If you're ever not able to do it and it's just me there, I'm just going to have to put out 16 pieces of paper and do a silent auction.
I'm sure. I would think with that many people, there's got to be somebody in the crowd that's a professional auctioneer that we just don't know. Where was it? The Grand American, I think it was. I was talking to somebody about another idea I have for another day. But there is the word got out to this one guy comes up. He was from Alabama, and I forget his name now, but he said he was an auctioneer, and he wanted to be a part of this when we get this deal going or what have you.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
But you would think, that many people, there's got to be somebody that is far better than I am. But hey, I'm sure it'll come up here. They know we're doing some things like that or whatever. Somebody will step up.
It was awesome, and you paid out the winners of each. Of the winning bidder on each cast, and then they each got somewhere between $650 and $850. It seemed like, so it worked out pretty great.
Yeah, we did it a little bit differently. Normally you would take those 16 dogs and auction all of them or Calcutta all of them, and then I don't know. Sometimes they do high score, however they do it. But we decided we're going to do draw the cast and then do just auction the 4 dogs in that cast, and whoever gets the winning dog, whoever bought that winning dog is going to get everything. We paid back 100% of it. So yeah, and it generated more money than I expected. I was hoping it'd be a couple $100, but shoot, it was a couple $100 per dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Saturday, the pot got up to $2,200. It's crazy.
Just for 4 dogs.
4 dogs, $2,200. A lot of fun though.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously that was a max 16 dog hunt, and it sold out on the day it opened up in less than an hour, somewhere around an hour. And you talked to some of the people who had entries, and a couple of them sold them. I think we ended up having 3 entries switch hands just from. They said they fielded 5, 6, 7 phone calls each, people trying to buy their entries. There was some demand for it, so we've heard that feedback, and we're going to think about next year and all that good stuff. But what a great start to it. I was really tickled with the start of this Pro Slam series here at Winter Classic. So.
Same here. The Walker Association, they're going to have one, a couple of them, along with their event this year. And it's almost turning out, I think, a little bit differently than you and I might have envisioned, where it seems like this platform, the week of a major event, is a pretty good platform to have these during the week. So we'll see.
Come early.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we went from 16 dogs on Wednesday, and we ended up with a final cast on Thursday. And like you said, we were able to auction them off again. The weather was kind of crummy out, windy and a little rainy on that day, so we ended up doing the auction inside, and everybody was packed in. And like you said, $2,200 person, Mr. Mac Talent from Missouri ended up taking home the full purse, he ended up bidding on our winner, and I don't think he was going to let him go.
I don't think so either. Every time I looked up, he was just to the right of me, I remember, and he wasn't hesitating, not one time. I think his final bid was what, $775 or something like that.
Yeah. Who knows how far he would have went?
Yeah. He had a lot of confidence in that dog, I guess.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's real quick go through the final four here and where they ended up. Our fourth place dog was a dog out of Van Cleve, Mississippi, owned by Dyke and Brandon Parnell. And this was a 2-year-old female tree and walker named Looking Up Chirpy. She won $1,000.
Yeah.
In third place.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You know, as far as I know, I don't know that I had ever met that Dyke Parnell, but what a nice guy, man.
Oh, yeah. And after getting to know him and talking to some other people who talked to him about us, he's one I'm going to remember. Me too. He's got a good reputation down there, and that goes a long ways when you hear people talking good stuff about somebody like that.
You always meet new people every year at this event and a lot of the major events, you know, but for me, he was one of those, you know, and kind of just seemed like a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Third place here is Grand Night Champion 2, Bottomland Gaucho. He's a 2-year-old black and tan male owned by Chad McCoy and Brad Howell out of Hartford City, Indiana. Third place and $1,250 check heading their way.
Yeah, you know, the little story on that dog is you can probably tell it better than I do, but he had some health issues, you know, where he had a hernia, a bad hernia, and I think they cut out the majority of his intestines, I think. You know, and the dog
Chad said 80%.
Yeah, the dog should probably not be breathing right now. But yeah, what a story.
Yeah. Second place is going to be Night Champion Hardwood Blue Tex. That was a 2-year-old blue tick male owned by John Wilson over in Luther, Oklahoma. He's going to get a check for $1,750.
Yep, there you go. You know, John's another one of those guys. I've met John before, but I probably got to know him a little bit more, talked to him more at this event than I ever had before. But hey, there's another, just a great guy. Blue tick, big old blue tick, old Tex there. Second place.
And our overall winner was Grand Night Champion 2, Rock'em Willie. That's a 5-year-old tree and walker male owned by Alan Holden, Tyler Pettit, and Jason Cooper from up in northern Indiana. Alan's from Fishers, Indiana. $3,000
yeah.
for them.
Well, Fishers, that's more central, probably what you would call central Indiana there. But yeah, that trio right there, you know, they've hooked up and had several good hounds here in the last decade now, or in the last 4 or 5 years anyway. Autumn Oaks did well in the World Championship, and hey, we've used Tyler a lot, you know, to judge, and he's a great handler, been doing it a long time, good dog, man, and they're hunting these dogs up. Willie's off the world champion, as was the Chirpy dog that Parnell had, you know, 2 of them off of the world champion Willie dog. But yeah, they got it, they pulled it off, got the win. $3,000 is what they won, right?
That's right,
yeah.
$3,000. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I should have their check by today.
Yeah, should have, yep.
Yeah, and we were able to rope a couple people in to judge for us. I know they probably wanted to compete in the Thursday night slam, but they made their sacrifice, and you know, we gave them a little bit of money to help us out, and we used Philip King as our assistant judge, and just a young guy we just talked about, Kyle Oakes. He's from Eastern Tennessee, and he started up doing a podcast, and he's a guy I didn't know, a year ago at this time probably very well, and some people from down in Southeast Tennessee vouched for him, and we used him to judge at our World Finals. We've used him in different circumstances to judge for us, and here we are. Right off the bat, we use this young kid Kyle Oakes, who's just now in his late teens, early 20s, but he demands a lot of respect, and he judged this cast for us. And I think you had a chance to talk to Kyle, didn't you?
I did, you know, and I'll just say this: I love to see young guys like Kyle that have a good reputation. You know, they know what they're doing. They've learned the rules and are well educated on the rules and conduct themselves the way he does and everything, and can handle a cast. In this case, a pretty high profile cast, and they are not intimidated by it. They are much better shape than I am, you know, to follow these dogs out there judging them. And it's man, love having guys like Kyle. But yeah, you're right. I did. He was one of the guys I got to sit down with and talk, and we talked about his podcast a little bit. You mentioned that in the onset here, and also talked about this final cast. So let's go to that right now. And here's Kyle and I. What's going on, Kyle?
Not much, man. Having a good time.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Good to have you down here. Kyle Oakes, you're from Tennessee, right?
Yep, Pikeville, Tennessee.
Yeah, and you're here. You got your podcast set up here.
Yep, Coon Hunting Media Podcast.
Yeah, how's that going for you?
Man, it's going awesome.
Good.
Big viewership. People loving it.
Yeah. How
We're
long have you
excited.
been doing that?
A month.
Yeah.
1 month.
So it's pretty
It's
much brand new. Yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah. And you got a partner with it as well, right?
Yeah, Limhane Kennels. It's the kennels that I'm a partner of. It's Jason Thompson, Johnny Cooper, Stacy Thompson, and Hudson Thompson.
Yeah. So what is your theme? What is your what do you cover on your podcast?
All breeds.
Everything?
Everything. We're
Yeah.
wanting big thing we're wanting to do is bring back some of the old legends that kind of lost their fame in the sport
Yeah.
and bring them back up, and
Yeah.
because they've done a lot of stuff for us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah. Hey, you're a pretty young guy, aren't you? How old are you?
18.
18. That's it. Okay. Well, I thought you might be in your 20s, but
No, 18.
yeah. Heck, well, you're a very mature guy. I can tell you that.
Well, thank you.
Hey, I will tell you, we used you to judge at the World Finals last year,
Yep.
and I'll just tell you, man, I love seeing young guys that know the rules and can handle themselves well. And man, we get a lot of compliments,
Well, I
and
appreciate
that makes that tickles me. We want good judges and stuff, and it tickles me when we have young guys that put that much effort into learning the rules.
There's not a lot of
When-
young guys doing a lot.
Yeah,
Right now. I mean,
Yeah, but
all
you
the
know,
older-
some of you younger guys are the ones that can run like deer through the woods and
Yeah.
are physically able to,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
So it's good to have that. I didn't think you were that young, I guess, but man, we got a lot of compliments at the World, and then we used you here for the Pro Slam to
Yeah.
be the non-hunting guide on the or non-hunting judge on the final cast in the Pro Slam. But tell us a little bit about how'd that go?
Oh, that was a good cast.
That
We,
was Thursday night when we ran the finals.
yeah, Thursday night the finals had a good cast. Dogs went there and got struck, and everybody stayed to themselves. Breed, so having coons, dens,
Yeah,
and I guess Rock and Willie
yeah. Rock and Willie was
won the cast.
Yeah,
Looked good on a coon.
so you had 2 black and tans, right?
Was it two
No,
black and-
no, 1 black and tan
one
and a
black
blue
and
tick,
tan,
and a
blue tick,
yeah,
and 2 walkers.
and 2 walkers, yeah, 2 walkers
Yeah,
off
we'll
of
paint it
whip.
up final cast.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we appreciate that. You've been to the Winter Classic before?
Yeah, makes my third, fourth time.
So you've been here several times.
Yeah.
Or did you hunt last night?
Yep. Didn't
Yeah.
do no good.
No good.
No good.
Where'd you hunt, off the grounds here? Or?
Yeah, off the grounds. Went about an hour
Yeah.
north.
Yeah, you got a dog in it tonight?
Yeah.
Gonna rain doesn't bother you much?
Nah,
Yeah.
we'll give her a whirl at
Yeah.
least.
There you go. That's like me and my brother back when we were your age. We'd hunt about
Oh,
3-4
yeah.
nights a week. Didn't matter. It was Tuesday
Rain,
night.
shine, or
Yeah,
snow.
That's right. If it was snowing or raining, we'd sit in the truck with the windows cracked, and listen for the dogs.
Yeah.
And they got trees.
Yeah,
to
well,
go
now
to.
we got it going. We can wait for the tree switch to flip off.
There you go, man. Yeah. Hey, Kyle, appreciate you having here. Good luck with your podcast.
Hey, thank
Keep
you.
doing what you're doing, and hopefully get more guys looking up to guys like you doing things
We
good
hope
and
so.
right. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Alan, I know we both have new Dogtra Pathfinder 2s. How are you liking yours so far?
I'm liking it. I've even had the opportunity now to use mine where I didn't have service, where I download the map of that area, and it works flawlessly. Love it.
I agree. I really like my Dogtra Pathfinder 2 as well. I've used it quite a bit the past few months. I really like the crystal clear maps. I like that it doesn't lose service very much, and I don't have many bad things to say about it at all. Dogtra Pathfinder 2, the official GPS collar partner of UKC. Okay, there's Kyle. Appreciate Kyle having a chance to sit down with you. That was good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, let's move on to the warm-up slams now. They started on Wednesday night as well, and kind of become a big deal. A good chance for people to get out there and stretch their legs and stretch their dogs' legs, and they keep catching on in people wanting to get there, and popularity is the word I'm looking for, I believe. And for this one in particular, we have $1,000 added purse each night, and that's donated by Eukanuba and UKC through our partnership. So an extra $1,000 each night to the purse, and then also another $500 added purse each night, and that comes from the Mississippi Raccoon Hunters Association. And you're eligible for that if you get a membership, which is right there in the building where you get your entry at. It's only $20. You're supporting the state association that puts a lot of dogs in the woods over that weekend.
Yeah, that's true. The Mississippi Raccoon Association, they basically host the Wednesday night warm-up slam, and then Thursday night it's the Enid Lake Club there. But yeah, it's and I think a lot of the guys, I don't know what their numbers look like as far as the out-of-staters, so to speak, how many of them get that membership so they're eligible for that, but I think a lot of them do.
Yeah, I think so too. And Wednesday night, previous record that we had for a Wednesday night slam here in Mississippi was 91 that we had back in 2022. I know last year you guys had a heck of a storm on Wednesday night that deterred some folks, but this year we blew past that 91 and had 100 entries right on the nose for Wednesday night.
25,
pretty good.
25 4-dog cast, man. That was crazy. Good.
And ended up being some good hunting. The final cast ended up getting $628 each. And I'll just mention those 4 dogs real quick. They got that good payday. We had night champion Routland's Black Riddle, a black and tan owned by David Routland. He had 600 plus. Grand night champion 2, 4-time world champion Floyd, owned by Terry Bennett and Walt Koshko out of Missouri with 450 plus. Night champion Walka's Missouri Black Gator Bait, a black and tan owned by you and John Walka Sr. out of Missouri with 375 plus. And night champion 4X Dirty Old South, a tree and walker owned by Donnie Brack out of Missouri with 375 plus. Looked like Missouri had a good night.
Well, I'd say so. That's what I was going to say. The common denominator is one thing: Missouri, state of Missouri. Yeah, congratulations to all those guys. But yeah, $35 entry fee and go home with splitting 600 and what did you say, $28 or something like that.
Yeah, 628.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, move on to Thursday night where we've had some good showings over the past couple of years. Last year we had 159 entries in this Thursday night slam. This year we had 155. So if you put that with the 4 dogs we were hunting across the Civic Center in the Pro Slam, we had another 159 dogs hunting there tonight. So. And that's a lot of dogs to put in the woods. The host club was stressing there a little bit. I saw Ronnie's eyes twitching when I saw him, but they ended up getting them all in the woods. So.
Every time I walked in there, he's on the phone. I'm pretty sure I know he was calling a couple of guys to guide.
We were in there looking for guides. Just a little aside, we were in there looking for guides on Saturday, and we needed a couple off the grounds from Ronnie, and he hit the phone, and one of our field reps said, "I bet people hate seeing your name pop up this week."
Yeah.
But good stuff. And that Thursday night, each people in the final 4 got $746 each. What a payday!
Yeah. Same thing again. $35 entry fee.
Yep, and that's our first place dog here was Grand Night champion Mr. Hyde, a tree and walker owned by Ashley Dalton over in West Virginia, 850 plus. We had night champion Kroll's Jody, a tree and walker owned by Brandon Kroll in Indiana, 675 plus. Grand night champion 2, Wilson and Holloman's Royal Cable 2, a black and tan owned by Ashley Oxendine in North Carolina, had 600 plus. And Anderson's Wipeout Juice, a tree and walker owned by Rodney Anderson from Tennessee, had 425 plus.
Yeah, Ashley Oxendine, I didn't see him there, but I obviously had somebody else hunting that dog. I knew he bought that black and tan there, but yeah, I'm not sure what you call him. I thought he was a blue tick man when I first met him about 3, 4, 5 years ago, but I know he's got his hands on walkers, and heck, now he's got a black and tan too.
Well, I actually just Facebook messaged him a couple of days ago. I listened to his podcast with Josh Michaelis that they did, and he's a good representation of coon hunters.
He is.
The more people that could hear that, the better. And I kind of messaged him and let him know that. And he said, "I'm just an old country coon hunter, so I guess that's what you'd classify him as."
I think he's a chicken farmer, I think.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah, so. Well, hey, that's kind of the end of the slams. We've kind of moved into Friday morning here now. We're going to talk about the bench show a little bit.
Yeah, before you go into that, we mentioned Ronnie Stark has a lot to do with those warm-up slams and getting the guides and all that. But we're going to talk to Ronnie here a little later on. I sat down with him as well, but you're going to hear from Ronnie too.
Perfect. Well, on our Friday portion of the show, it kind of gets started off early Friday morning, about 9:30 a.m. Central Time is whenever they start hitting the ring, and we start out with our registered classes, followed by pairs. And our judge this year was Miss Scarlett Overton from down there in southern Mississippi is where she lives this year.
She was pretty excited to do that, too. You could tell she was there Friday night, obviously, or Friday morning when she showed up there. You could tell she was ready and excited to do it. And did a good job, I think. I didn't get to watch a lot of the show, but it's good to have folks like Scarlett helping judge the shows.
It takes a different kind of beast to be able to judge Friday at Winter Classic after you start off at 9:30 and you don't end till 9 o'clock after the top 10 show, 9 o'clock at night. That was a long day for her, but
yeah,
we sure appreciate her. She did a great job.
Yep.
Best male show this year, Winter Classic. It was confirmation champion Rag Mountain Stealing Your Thunder. That's a plot owned by the Woodwards, Katie and Jason, over in Madison, Virginia. And the best female of the show was a name that we've seen a couple times this year already, a Grand American champion. That was PR's second win, Stunning in Stilettos. Trian Walker, owned by Janice Hunter of Brantford, Florida. I'm guessing Jason probably handled the dog again.
He did. I'm surprised this dog's still in the registered division, but she's got to be getting close to champion now. You would certainly think so.
Absolutely. And then after our registered portion of the show, we moved on to our pairs. And our winning pair this year was the Black and Tan winners. And that was Gilman's Good Time Tradition. It's a Black and Tan.
There's all those titles again, Trevor.
I'm sure people know them by now, don't they? Do I need to? But
Probably.
I'll give them their credit here. They had Racing, IA, PN, UAGI, Grand Champion 3, UR02, Confirmation Grand Champion, Gilman's Good Time Tradition, and a spot title too there at the end for anybody who was wondering. And that's a Black and Tan owned by David, and obviously Misty Yarrington's a big part of these dogs as well. And the female pair paired with it was Grand Champion Gilman's Good Time Stella, the female owned by David Gilman.
Yep. So yeah, on Friday, the first day of the shows, we have the registered show, and then we have the pairs, and then the top 10. That's and then champions and grands come on Saturday.
Yeah. So we fast forward after all our hunt stuff there in the afternoon that we do from 12 till 5:30. We get into the top 10 bench show where we kind of do it up. It's a whole year deal for people to qualify for this thing. So we have appetizers and hors d'oeuvres and drinks for all the participants, and it seemed like people finally got comfortable with getting those things this year. There was a good line there at least a couple times, and we got ready for the show. We turned on the lights and put the spotlights on and did our parade, and it was time to figure out who was going to get the checks this year.
Yeah, the top 10 is made up obviously of 10 dogs of each breed who earn their points by defeating dogs throughout the year. That's how the top 10 is determined, and that's a fun part of it. The very first part is that parade of each one of those of all of the dogs in each breed parading through there and read their names, their sires, their dams, and all that good stuff. And that's always a fun time. Try to do it up. Like you said, we turn the lights down, put the spotlights on them, and hopefully we can improve on it. I think last year I goofed up a little bit. I announced that, and this year I was set to learn from it last year, and I think we did it a little better. Than it turned out pretty good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it went really smooth.
Yeah.
I think it went really smooth, the show did as a whole. So
yeah.
One funny thing, Shannon's there. Shannon Nardi, a member of our media team, was going to take pictures of the dogs as they were coming into the ring. And I guess the name of the show can be a little deceiving. She expected there to be 10 dogs, and 50 dogs later, she was like, when does this thing end?
Yeah, top 10 in each breed.
Yeah. Yeah, so judging the top 10 show Friday night were obviously Miss Scarlett Overton, who we already talked about. We had Amber Carroll, who's going to judge the show for us the next day on Saturday. And we brought in a third judge who was there doing his podcast stuff with us, and a legend of the sport, Mr. Steve Fielder.
Yeah, they all three did a good job. I took them while I think you had a handlers meeting, kind of brief the handlers on on the procedures and everything for the show. And in the meantime, I had all three judges, and we had a judges meeting, kind of went over the process. It's a little different how they judge. I mean, obviously in the first round, we have 3 rings set up with a judge in each ring and 1 bench in each one of those rings, where the first dog goes into ring number 1. That judge evaluates the dog, gives it a score of sorts, and the dog goes right to ring number 2, and then finally ring number 3. And then the all 3 judges' scores are combined, and that's kind of how they do that. And it's worked. It's different, but it's an interesting show. It's something that UKC has done with their top 10 on the all breed section. That's kind of where it came from. So, and they've done that for a lot of years at the Premier Dog Show in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So we've kind of adopted that here, and it's kind of worked pretty well.
Yeah. Absolutely. In a couple of years, I guess 3 or 4 years ago now, at this point, we added the $15,000 cash prize to it, where each of the 7 breed winners gets $2,000 each, and then the overall winner that's selected gets an additional $1,000 for a $3,000 total purse for the overall winner. And it's been a good incentive for people. And man, once we got down to our 7 breed winners and you saw them out there in the ring, what a stacked class that was.
I know. There's some nice dogs in that top 10. Of course there will be. They're the dogs that defeated the most dogs throughout the year, earn the most dogs, or earn the most points for their breed. And but yeah, a lot of nice dogs. We see a lot of
Yeah.
nice dogs at, all the major shows for that matter. Probably Autumn Oaks, you'll probably see the most dogs of that upper caliber. But this top 10 show is really nice.
As
Impressive.
good as good as any you'll see all year. And I'm going to mention those 7
Yeah,
dogs. Real quick.
Trevor, the one thing, a couple of weeks ago, you and I went over those top 10, and we play that just before the show starts there. Played the podcast where you and I covered every dog in all those breeds, and folks should go back and listen to it if they haven't already. But that's pretty, I love doing that, and I'm glad that we do that and give them the recognition that they deserve. And I know just today we're recording this the week after the Winter Classic. I spoke with Nicole Sedlecki, who has a lot to do up here at UKC with programs like this. And we were talking a little bit, and, you mentioned the dinner thing, and just, hey, if we can, always looking to improve on this. So I hope we can just keep adding to this show.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I want to mention the 7 dogs that won their breed real quick before we announce who the overall winner is, who you probably already heard of, but I might as well give them the recognition on here as well. So Black and Tan breed winner was our world show champion from last year, Grand Champion Gilman's Good Time Blues, owned by Dave and Kelly Myers in Pennsylvania. Our leopard winner was, Grand Field Champion, Grand Water Champion, Confirmation Champion, Grand Champion Hall of Fame, Soap Creek Mr. Moose with a spot title, owned by Chuck and Lucas Slattery in Tennessee. Our Blue Tick winner was Grand Champion Ford, Rockin' W Surround Sound, owned by Whitney and Debbie Killow in Arkansas. Our English winner was Grand Champion 2, New Heart Running Man Zeke, owned by Stacy Ragsdale in Iowa. Plot winner was Champion County Line Truman, a plot owned by Christina Officer and Chelsea Bailey in Kentucky. Our Redbone winner was National Grand Champion, Confirmation Champion, Grand Champion Wabash River Lost Highway. Andy and Keith Emery, Curtis Elburn, and Nikki Elburn from North Carolina owned this dog, our Autumn Oaks winner last year. And rounding out the 7 was our Tree and Walker winner, Confirmation Champion, Grand Champion 3, Skyline and Leave You Dare the Devil, owned by Bridget Clary and Beth Jenkins over in Virginia. And our overall winner was
the Redbone, the Wabash
The
River
Highway
Lost
dog.
Highway, Andy Elburn. Yeah, in the first we mentioned how the procedure for round 1 and round 2, those 7 breed winners, they all come back in again for judging. But this time we put them all together. We put 7 benches in there, and then all 3 judges go through them one more time, and they give essentially kind of grade each one of the dogs, and then we take those grades of all 3 of them, combine them, and then that's how we determine the overall winner. But yeah, congratulations to Andy with her Redbone. That won Autumn Oaks last year. That's a nice dog. It's done a lot of winning, and all the dogs look good, but yeah, dog looked great. She won the $3,000.
Great win for her.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Saturday morning at 9:30, we started out with our champion class, and our champion male that was judged by Amber Carroll, who lives over in Oklahoma these days, came over and judged for us, and she's selected as the champion male confirmation champion Merrimack Valley Terror in the Wind. This was a Tree and Walker owned by Connie Bigley and Sabrina Ray of Davisville, Missouri. The champion female was champion confirmation grand champion Mine Creek Amazing Grace. It's a plot owned by Rita Mason Ellis and Penny Turner of Burlington, North Carolina. And then right after the conclusion of the champion classes, we went to our kids show, kind of an intermission to let the judge have a little bit of a break, and then also kind of a photo op for the youth involved in the sport, give out some medallions to them, ask them some questions. And I saw some photos from that event, and they were pretty dang good.
Yeah, and usually they have quite a few kids. They don't have to enter anything. They just line up there when it's time. Line up with whatever dog they can get, and yeah, those are always pretty cool. I heard some of them talking about it before the show, and it's always cool to see the excitement and how they anticipate that part of it.
Yeah. And then moving on after that to our grand champion class, and our grand champion male winner was, continuing the hot streak, National Grand Champion, Confirmation Champion, Grand Champion Wabash River Lost Highway, the Redbone male owned by Andy and Keith Emery and Curtis and Nikki Elburn over in North Carolina. Got that distinction for the weekend too. And our Grand Champion female was Grand Champion Second Wind's Indigo Illusion. It's a Tree and Walker owned by Janice Hunter, Brantford, Florida. So the way that works is now we bring back our 6 category winners. So that's the 6 we've mentioned so far. Best male of show and best female of show from Friday. And our champion male, champion female, grand champion male, grand champion female from Saturday. And out of those 6, the overall winner was Second win, stunning against Stilettos. Dream Walker owned by Janice Hunter of Brantford, Florida, and handled by Jason. Second major event already this year.
Grand American and now the Winter Classic. Jason and all of Janice, they were so excited. And I actually sat down with them after their big win at the Grand American. But Jason was actually my first interview I got on the podcast. So it was soon after the show on Saturday. So I pulled him back up there and we talked about this. And you mentioned in the onset about his Hunter's Wheelhouse podcast setup that he had. So we talked about those two things. So here you're going to hear from Jason right now, talking about his win with Stiletto and Stella, I guess, as they call her. And then he's also going to talk about his Hunter's Wheelhouse podcast. Mr. Hunter from Florida again.
Mr. Allen Gingrich. Golly.
Winter Classic this time.
This is the first.
First time at Winter Classic.
First timer ever winning the Winter Classic.
You've been here a lot of years, though.
Chill bumps. I'm not lying, brother.
Oh, man. I'm talking to Jason Hunter from Florida. He just won the overall bench show at the Winter Classic.
Yes,
Stella again. She won at the Grand American, and we had you on the podcast for that. Here we are again.
I don't even know what to say, to be honest with you. I keep saying I'm so thankful, but I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
I feel so blessed to have the honor to handle such a dog like this.
Yeah. Well, hey, for those that didn't listen to our podcast from the Grand American, tell us a little bit about Stella. Where does she come from? What is she?
Well, Stella is a dream come true. I've been showing dogs since I was 13 years old. My mama started breeding dogs about 27 years ago.
Talking about Janice Hunter.
Janice Hunter, my mother. And I'll never forget, we started with two show dogs. It was just two really average dogs, really. And then here we are 27 years later of hard work that my mom has put into her breeding program. And here I am, 27 years later, still handling her dogs.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're just now starting to hit our groove.
Yeah.
And it's a special thing when you share it with your mother. I mean, it really is to see the dedication it takes to breed these hounds, to make sure the conformations, to breed standard. That specifically is the biggest thing, Alan. When you're talking about show dogs in general, it is breed standards. That's what these judges are looking at. And when you're a breeder, as my mom is, you have to really study that breed standard and try your best to match it. And that's what she's done, and I'm just there to try to make them look good.
Yeah. You bring up a point I remember today. I saw Amber before she made that final pick. She mentioned that she's judging dogs to the standard, not dog to dog necessarily, but to the standards.
And conditioning. Yep. Miss Amber Carroll, she brought up when I came out of the ring, conditioning and the health of these dogs. She said it was sensational. She says the conditioning was sensational. It all comes together and makes one. Yeah. And it's... Yeah.
So you mentioned your mom, Janice, being here, seeing all of that. I was sitting there in the front row next to your dad, actually, who's also here, Wayne Hunter. And
75.
75.
75.
And I'll get to that in a minute. Don't let me forget that.
Yeah.
But about the oldest hunter. He hunted in the hunt. But I could tell just your parents are so proud of you and the dog, obviously, but they were so tickled.
It's pure just raw emotion.
Yeah.
It's raw emotion. I don't hide anything under my sleeves, and we just love what we do.
Now, the other thing I noticed after you're in the ring, and the ring is 40 feet wide, you're over there on the other side, you turn Stella loose, and your mom is on right in front of me, and Stella is wagging her tail, running across the ring to your mom.
They're a dream team.
Yeah.
My mom loves
There's
that
a
dog.
connection there.
It's a special connection, and it's, to be honest with you, I've never really worked Stella very much. My mom doesn't either. And the reason for that is we click. It was just something when she was a baby, she was a natural. And that comes back to talking about conformation. Naturals, they're easy, and they make it fun. And then when they have that special attitude, and she's a once-in-a-lifetime dog to me. I've never touched one like her. She's unique. I can grab her by her front paws. She jumps up on me, and she goes to bouncing and playing. And she'll do it in the middle of the show. After the show, she run over to Mama.
Yeah.
She loves my mom, but it's a connection that's unexplainable. Yeah.
How old is she?
She turned 2 yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Stella.
Yeah.
I'm just so blessed. Yeah. I feel so blessed.
Okay. What is she out of again?
I don't even remember.
Well, your mama knew at Grand American.
Mama knows because Mama breeds them. I do the handling, and then I deal with these nerves, and I lose my train of thought. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I can't even remember right now. It's off of my mom's line of dogs, and she has just done a sensational job.
Yeah. Well, hey, congratulations on that. We mentioned your dad a little bit. So we do this thing here at the Winter Classic on Friday night. It's kind of a tradition, recognizing the oldest hunter. Your dad was the second oldest hunter.
Yes.
Well, one of the last two standing. He'll be 75, I guess, this year. In July. So, yeah, there's only Mr. Walter Carley in Alabama is already 75.
Right.
So, but I love to see that.
You know what's amazing is
75. Think about that.
It's amazing. You got to go in the woods with him. Yeah. He'll shock you. I'm like, Dad, you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Buddy, that dog locates in trees. It's over with. You better get your boots on. I made a video not long ago. I said, when you go hunting with Wayne Hunter, I took my snake boots off, I put my waders on, and then I had to dump them out when I come out because Wayne Hunter doesn't care, buddy. Where they tree, you go.
Yeah.
And at 75, he will hunt just as hard as I will.
Well, that's just awesome. You know, we talk about getting the young kids involved, and we do a lot to promote the young kids and everything, but it's equally the same for me to see some of these older guys still being able to stay out there and hunt.
That's right.
Love it.
Well, and what's amazing is you got some of the youth coming to the booth, and you got figures like my father that's been in this business since he was a young man, and he filtered these young handlers in, and they start talking about these old hounds, and they get to know about the old hounds.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see the differences between generations of me knowing dogs and then another generation coming up and see them kicking butt. It's amazing.
So you just briefly mentioned the booth. You're talking about the Hunter's Wheelhouse. Let's talk about that for a second. So you've kind of got your own podcast going.
Yes, sir.
You're doing great with that.
Thank you.
like some of the guests and some of your interviews. Very interesting stuff. Talk about that a little bit.
We just like to keep things natural. I mean, I like we are here right now. I don't like to stage anything. I like to talk to people about their accomplishments and then their life. Let people get to know someone. You know, a podcast is where we should sit down and really get to know each other. Yeah. Let's talk about your previous life. What brought you to this point in life? Yeah. What got you here?
You know, some of the first ones I watched are some that you did at the Autumn Oaks, I think, last year. So one of them that I watched, you sat down with Lisa Huntsicker, and I've known Lisa for a lot of years. I learned so much watching that, things I didn't know about Lisa. I thought that's
what makes it so special. Yeah. You know, I've known Lisa since I was a young man. And she's been a mentor to me since I was a little boy. And like today, I win, and she's in pure raw emotion running to me. Yeah. And you mentioned the interview, and the reason why I mentioned that is you think you know people. You sit down with people, and you really get to know people. That lady, Miss Lisa Huntsicker, is one of the most special ladies I've ever met in my life. She roots on everybody out there. She's a game changer for this industry. Yeah. Attitude's everything.
She has got a great positive attitude.
Attitude's everything. Yeah. Whether you're 75 like my dad is or whether you're coming up, it doesn't matter. And that's what I preach to all my pro staff that's mostly youth for Hunter's Wheelhouse. I tell them attitude's everything. Yeah. You know, and get to know people and smile. Be happy.
There you go.
You know, why have a bad day?
Well, you do it. You set the example for that, Jason. Congratulations, man. Thank you.
You're an honor.
Thanks for being here, bud.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. It really is.
Yeah, so there you heard from Jason. He and I talked for a little while, and you heard about his podcast and this and that. Yeah, but just like I said, he's an excitable guy, and he sure is. He loves that dog. And rightfully so. She's a very nice dog. So congratulations to him, his mother. And actually, when they crowned that dog, I was sitting down front row. I should have been upstairs helping you, I know, with the night hunt stuff, but I wanted to watch the end of the show, and it was a little slow down there, so I did go down there, sat front row, and I was sitting next to Wayne, just happened, Jason's dad, and boy, he was excited as well.
Yeah, hey, great win for them. Great start for the year for that tandem, and yeah, you said he mentioned the podcast, or his podcast a little bit, his Hunter Wheelhouse and the stuff he's doing, and he's doing great stuff. He's putting the spotlight on some of the youth in our sport and giving them a platform and some good youth, and I appreciate everything he's doing. But hey, I guess that's kind of a wrap for today. We decided to make this a two-parter, kind of doing our show stuff and our warm-up stuff today. And so this doesn't turn into a 2.5-hour podcast. We're going to split it up into two parts here, and I think that'll be easier for everybody to listen to. Yeah. So you're hearing this one here, and next week you stay tuned for more coverage from the 2024 Winter Classic.
Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.